Thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. I am your co-host, Sarah. I am joined by Tate, as always. We have a great show planned for you today. We will be talking about recent comments from Pat McAfee and a debate between Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith, both regarding Caitlin Clark. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys preparing for a significant shift in their running game strategy this season. Talking about Colin Cowherd suggesting that USC should end its rivalry game with Notre Dame, and then make sure you stick around for the last segment because we will be talking about dumb criminals, always one of our favorite segments. As we get started, I do want to remind you to like and follow the show. That really does help. Also, we do get a number of questions and comments that come in during the show. If you go to gsmcpodcast.net and leave a tip or a donation, that will put your question or comment at the top of our list, ensuring that we see it and are able to engage with that question or comment. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And good morning, Tate.
Hello, Miss Sarah.
How's it going?
I'm doing good.
Good. You seem perky. You seem raring to go.
I'm doing good today. Doing good today. So
good.
Excited to be doing the show. We've been having since moving to the new office, new studio. There's been some scheduling issues, some technical difficulties. So we haven't been on our regular schedule, which I'm hoping that we can get this stuff behind us and moving that kind of right direction there.
Not really our A game.
No, it has not been our A game.
But we're working on it.
So
we're a work in progress. Like most people, we're works in progress. I admit that at least. I don't know.
All right, what do we got going on today?
All right, so today our first segment is ESPN had quite the interesting week. So let me just get this set up really quick, and then I will say that ESPN talk show host Pat McAfee, recently issued an apology after making controversial remarks about Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark during a WNBA discussion on his show. McAfee referred to Clark using a derogatory term. We're not going to say it here, but it did rhyme with witch and was preceded by the word white. And he later acknowledged his mistake, expressing regret for the inappropriate language and emphasizing his respect for Clark and women's sports. However, McAfee's comments sparked significant backlash, raising questions about the boundaries of sports commentary and the responsibility of media personalities. McAfee's apology came after a segment in which he praised Clark's talent, but also criticized the WNBA's officiating and media coverage of its rookie players. He argued that Clark, as a standout performer, deserved better protection from overly aggressive opponents and more balanced coverage from the media. McAfee's use of profanity and racial undertones to make his points drew widespread condemnation, prompting him to address the controversy on social media and express remorse for his choice of words. Meanwhile, Monday's episode of ESPN's First Take featured a fiery debate surrounding a flagrant foul by Chicago Sky Guard. Is it Chennedy or is it spelled with a CH? So I'm just making sure I'm pronouncing it right. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Chennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. The panel, led by Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt, engaged in a heated exchange over the incident, with McNutt challenging Smith's portrayal of the foul and its implications for women's sports. McNutt argued that rookie welcome to the league moments, such as Carter's foul, are not unusual in the WNBA and should not overshadow the league's overall integrity. Smith defended his perspective, emphasizing the severity of the foul and its potential impact on Clark's career. However, McNutt countered that the focus on individual incidents detracts from the broader narrative of women's basketball and perpetuates negative stereotypes about female athletes. The debate underscored broader issues regarding the coverage and perception of women's athletics, highlighting the complexities of gender dynamics and media representation in sports. As McAfee's apology and the First Take debate continue to reverberate across social media and sports discourse, the incident serves as a reminder of the power and responsibility wielded by media figures in shaping public opinion and influencing conversations about sports and society. It was a busy, busy week, and I don't think these weren't the only conversations this week about Caitlin Clark, and we're about to have another one.
Okay, so first, I'm going to talk about Pat McAfee, because I feel like Pat McAfee, I'm actually going to defend Pat McAfee. It might have been a poor choice of words. It might have been a wrong description, but it's kind of like saying that LeBron James is a dog or he's a beast. He meant it as a compliment, even though many people did not take it as a compliment. And the reason why I'm even more on Pat McAfee's side is because, number one, you could tell he really didn't mean to do that. The minute he realized it, he did two important things. He apologized right away, and he reached out to Caitlin Clark. And from everything I understand on the Caitlin Clark side, they saw the incident. They said it was no big deal. She realized that he meant it as in a complimentary way, like she's a badass. She's that. I'm the head B. It may be a poor choice of words to call a woman a B, but it was meant as a compliment. Granted, I understand that. Then the Stephen A. Smith thing, I think Stephen A. was kind of taken back because I think he's very proud of his track record of supporting women's basketball and going out of the way. He talks about how he has full control over who's going to be on First Take. And he fought to get Monica McNutt on, which is a former college basketball player. And then Janae Abubakar, which is a WNBA star. He fought to have them on there, and he's looking at it as, he's trying to help women in women's basketball get more notoriety and more fame. And then Monica McNutt was kind of saying, like, yes, you've done great, but you could have done it years ago, even 3 or 4 years ago, which is a bit of a shock. Which kind of took him back a little bit. And it's one of those things where I look at this and everyone can be right and everyone can be wrong all at the same time. Stephen A. has been that guy who has really tried to promote women of color, and I think he's done a great job. But Monica McNutt looking at it as, look how long it took you to get to that point. Sometimes there's a lot that goes to it. You have to be able to get that cachet to get to that point. I've worked in broadcast a long time, and I have wanted GSMC and other places to cover more women's sports. And the timing just wasn't right. And when I say timing wasn't right, meaning to have a show, there wasn't a big enough audience. You have to have a large enough people that are following it, finally. So, like, very proud of GSMC because we have our Hoops and Heels women's sports show, which is a big deal for us, and we're super excited. We have Stephanie and Kaylin who are the show hosts. Oh, Samantha. Ooh, I messed up on that one. Samantha, thank you. And we're very proud of that. But a few years ago, that show might not have been, it'd have been very hard to get an audience for it. But now America's appetite for women's sports is growing. Now, with that, America's appetite for women's sports is growing. This kind of goes with what they were talking about with Caitlin Clark. That's the Serena Williams of the world helped blaze that trail. The Diana Taurasi's helped blaze that trail. Other women over the years had to carry water so that we could get to that point where now women's sports are becoming at the forefront, and people like Reese and Caitlin Clark can benefit from it. So it's one of those. It's a very touchy topic to talk about because Stephanie McNutt is not wrong. We should have been talking about women's sports, leading sports shows with great things that women were doing years ago. Forget that, decades ago. But people would have the consumption of sports media wasn't there. Now it is coming there. It's still not there, but it is better than it's ever been. And part of that are the people and the trailblazers that came before and the tsunami that is Caitlin Clark. I think about what Reese said, that she is part of that. She is a part of that. You had your good guy, and Reese kind of became the bad guy in this because of their game and her waving in her face and everything, which then catapulted Caitlin Clark to another level. But that wasn't the only thing that catapulted Caitlin Clark to another level. Her play on the court catapulted her. The most points, one of the highest assist levels in women's sports history. She's been able to get the baton and run with it. And that's why Caitlin Clark has become such a big thing. My only thing when I look at this whole thing, the only thing that bothers me right now about the Caitlin Clark thing, because I think it's a beautiful thing and I love that they're getting all this attention, but it feels like and this is my question to you, Sarah. It feels like it's the wrong attention. All publicity is good publicity, but I wish there was more. Like, she had a 30-point game. No one cared about that. They want to hear about the foul and what Reese said and all that stuff.
And that's my hope, is that we start here, because right now there's got to be drama. We're talking about women's sports because of the drama. My hope is that will open some doors in order to talk about women's sports the way we talk about men's sports, and that's in, this game happened and these stats were from this game and this player did this. Not, oh my gosh, there has to be a drama or we don't cover it. Hopefully it can lead to that.
I wish the drama, the targeting, the fouls, the racial overtones, that's what I would love to see kind of get swept away and start to focus on that. That's when you know that Caitlin Clark in the WNBA has made it. Right now, it's very sexy to talk about, like I said, the racial overtones, to talk about the fouls, to talk about all the stuff off the court. When they go to and they start covering the games, and this player did this, and they're covering it like the men's, where the big story isn't what happened off the court, but what someone has done on the court. That's when you know you've made it. And there's not like a flash in the pan that's going to go away. I want to see more focus on sports results and less on the off the court area.
And my only comment for Pat McAfee, not that he's ever going to see me say this comment, would be, if you think somebody's a badass, call her a badass. Just avoid that other word altogether. It can be triggering and it can lead to, things that you weren't prepared for. So.
Yeah, and he admits it was a poor choice of words, but sometimes you don't think about it. You mean it as
right. Things come out of your mouth in the heat of the moment, but
and especially because guys can say some things about other guys that they don't take it that way, but sometimes you don't think about there's different overtones there. So, all right.
Yes. I just realized what happened with our system. We've implemented something new in our system, and it changed things in the middle of what you were talking about. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. We switched to a whole different scene right there. So I learned something new. I'm happy about that. But we're going to take our first break of this episode. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Dallas Cowboys and their running game strategy for this season. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the first segment, we were talking about Pat McAfee, Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt, all having conversations about Caitlin Clark and things that happened this week. And there was a bit of drama. As we move into this next segment, I do want to remind you that we get a lot of questions and comments throughout the show. If you would like to go to gsmcpodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation that will ensure that we see your questions and comments, and we would love to engage with those. So go to gsmcpodcast.net. You can leave a question or comment. Moving into our next segment, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who are preparing for a significant shift in their running game strategy this season, opting for a running back by committee approach. Head coach Mike McCarthy announced that the team has yet to finalize which backs will share the workload, but it will likely include veteran Ezekiel Elliott, who rejoined the team after a stint with the New England Patriots. Other contenders include Rico Dowdle, Royce Freeman, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Luepke, Malik Davis, Snoop Connor, and Nathaniel Pete. McCarthy emphasized the importance of managing the wear and tear on running backs in the current 17-game NFL season. This caution reflects the broader trend in the league, where even top rushers like Derrick Henry are seeing fewer carries compared to previous seasons. The Cowboys have a storied history of standout running backs, from Hall of Famers Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett to more recent stars like DeMarco Murray and Tony Pollard. However, the upcoming season marks a departure from their traditional approach of featuring a single dominant back. McCarthy's strategy could see 2 or 3 running backs sharing the load, a system the Cowboys haven't consistently used since the early 1980s. Elliott, with his impressive career credentials, is expected to lead the group, but not dominate as he once did. Last season, he shared duties with Ramondre Stevenson in New England, posting career lows in carries and yards. He remains motivated to prove he can still be a dominant force. Dowdle, who had a breakout season in 2023, is another key player, though his career has been hampered by injuries. Freeman, who joined the Los Angeles Rams, brings experience but hasn't surpassed 500 yards. He joined from the Los Angeles Rams, He brings experience but hasn't surpassed 500 yards since his rookie year. Vaughn, a small yet versatile running back, adds a wild card element with his ability to play both running back and wide receiver. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer highlighted the importance of versatility and unpredictability in this committee approach. He noted that each back must be capable of performing various roles to keep defenses guessing. Schottenheimer's experience with similar systems in New York and Seattle adds credibility to this strategy. As the Cowboys transition to this new approach, much will depend on how well the backs adapt to their roles and how effectively the coaching staff can balance their usage. The team's success in the upcoming season will hinge on the execution of this running back committee, a significant departure from the days of workhorse backs like Smith and Elliott. So Tate, give us your thoughts on what you think of running back by committee.
This is a smart decision. You don't have a premier running back. You have a running back that has a good name, as in, Ezekiel Elliott, but you don't have a Derrick Henry. You don't have a Christian McCaffrey. But what you can do is to maximize results is to have a stable of running backs. And this is what I think is incredibly smart to do, is to run with a series of running backs that are always going to be fresh, putting fresh bodies and fresh legs out there consistently on a regular basis. New England was very famous for doing a lot of running backs by committee. And you may see one running back that goes off and you're like, whoa, this running back, he's going to be awesome. And then you may never see him again. Always going with the hot hand, the fresh guy. Running backs take a beating. And the running back by committee, when you have Royce Freeman and Ezekiel Elliott, who are older backs and injuries happen, but then you have a Deuce Vaughn, who's a much smaller back. When you have a running back nicked up, you don't have to keep using him. You just put him on the shelf and bring in another one, right? Bring one out of the stable and keep on running. That is a smart approach. I wish they would have made this announcement a few months ago, because the Cowboys and Jerry Jones have gotten a lot of heat for, okay, they didn't go after Henry or any of the other big name, Saquon Barkley, big name running backs. And the Cowboys took a lot of heat by that. And it would have been smart for them to say, listen, this year, our approach to the running game is we're focusing on a running back by committee system, where we're going to go with who's the hot hand, who's the fresh legs, who's the healthiest. That would make sense. And it would have kind of cut down on how many bad stories the Cowboys have received. And we all know there has been so many from contract situations, which they're just littered with contract situations. But running back is one of those positions that have been devalued over the years. But the value of a running back has been devalued over the years. No one wants to pay the money, but the value of a running back on the field is just as valuable as it always been. The key is having a healthy running back and having a number of them. And so I love the fact that they're going to go with a committee. So, and I kind of see that Ezekiel Elliott's going to be that short yardage back. He's not going to be out there a ton. He's going to be on a goal line situation, short situations. I could see Royce being in that third down. That's that third not Royce Freeman, but Deuce Vaughn being that third down back, where Deuce is incredibly fast, really shifty, small, can hide behind the offensive line, but can bounce out wide to catch a screen and catch passes out of the backfield. It's a good move. I like this move, especially if you don't have one running back. You don't want to settle on, okay, we don't really have a great running backs, but we're going to feed this other guy. It's better to feed 4 or 5 other guys and keep whoever is fresh, whoever's ready, who's ready to go. Have that guy. Keep just shuffling in running back. So I do think this is a smart move on the Cowboys side. And, and if something happens in a situation where Deuce Vaughn, let's say Deuce Vaughn, a young, very talented running back, let's say he takes off. In a system like this, you can have a situation where if a running back takes off and starts doing well, it's easy to shift from a running back by committee to shifting to featuring a running back. It's a lot harder to go from, hey, we're going to feature Ezekiel Elliott, and then midway through it's like, hey, we haven't seen Ezekiel, and now you got to answer a lot of questions. I like the concept of starting with a committee. We got 5 running backs that we're going to use. But if by week 4, if you're not seeing Ezekiel Elliott, it's not a big deal, because it's like, okay, the running back committee, you may see Ezekiel next week. But if it's like game one, we're Ezekiel Elliott, we're feeding Zeke, but he's not doing well, then it's like, what's going on with Zeke? Is he going to get benched? It becomes a locker room distraction, where by running back committee, it definitely cuts down on the distractions. And God knows, the Cowboys have way too many distractions as it is. Just being a Cowboy is a distraction. The minute you put that star on the helmet, it's a distraction. Not to mention, what are they going to do about Dak? I think Dak is done in Dallas. This is Dak's last year. This is his last dance. CeeDee Lamb's going to get his contract, I think, at the end of this year. I think Micah Parsons going to get his contract. But I think these are steps that the Cowboys are preparing for. It feels like life after Dak. So
for me, as a bit of an outsider, running back by committee makes a lot of sense. You cut down on injuries. So is this a strategy that has worked well in other places? It doesn't sound like it's necessarily new, but they haven't done it since the 80s.
Well, the Cowboys have always focused on having that workhorse back. We're going to turn it around in the 70s and 80s. We're going to turn it around. We're going to hand it to Tony Dorsett, and going to keep feeding Dorsett, and he's going to get 1,200, 1,300 yards every year. Troy Hambrook, he's going to be the next guy. We got Emmitt Smith. He's going to be the guy. Dallas has always been a kind of use the workhorse running back. Find that best running back, and we're going to use him, and we're going to depend on him. And that model has worked, but there has been a number of teams over the years, and I'm using New England as that example, where they've used a full committee. I remember Carolina for a period of time, and Tampa Bay. They had two guys where they had the power runner and the shifty guy. And a lot of teams will use two running backs as their system. So all of them, they all have pluses. I like this best for the Cowboys if you don't have the two system work nice when you have Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. But you don't have that anymore. You have Ezekiel Elliott, but he's not the same guy. Being able to go with who is the healthiest, change of pace. You can't prepare for a different type of runner. You don't know which one they're going to use. It gives them kind of an advantage. Also, who's going to be healthy. I think it's a good move. If you don't have that feature back, I prefer a running back by committee.
All right. Well, it makes a lot of sense. We will see how this season goes and if they continue to use this strategy in the future. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and take our next break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be talking about a recent statement by Colin Cowherd that the USC should end its rivalry game with Notre Dame. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the previous segment, we were talking about running back by committee, the new strategy that the Dallas Cowboys are implementing for this season. We are moving on now to still football, but a different topic for football. So let me just get this set up. Give me 1 second. Colin Cowherd recently suggested that USC should end its rivalry game with Notre Dame. The rivalry between the University of Southern California and Notre Dame is one of the most celebrated in college football history, dating back to 1926. This annual clash has been a staple of the college football calendar, pitting two of the most successful and iconic programs against each other. With countless memorable games, legendary players, and national title implications, the rivalry has transcended sports, becoming a cultural event. Sports commentator Colin Cowherd recently suggested that USC should consider ending this rivalry game with Notre Dame. His proposal is rooted in the changing landscape of college football, particularly with USC's upcoming move to the Big Ten in 2024. Cowherd argues that this realignment and the evolving priorities of college athletics may necessitate a reevaluation of traditional rivalries. With USC set to join the Big Ten, the logistics of maintaining a non-conference rivalry game with Notre Dame could become more complex. Travel demands, scheduling conflicts, and the emphasis on conference play might make it difficult to sustain the annual matchup. Both USC and Notre Dame have experienced fluctuations in their football success. Cowherd posits that ending the rivalry might allow both programs to focus on their respective conference schedules and rebuild their national standings without the added pressure of the annual showdown. College athletics is increasingly driven by financial incentives, including lucrative conference TV deals and playoff berths. Prioritizing conference games could enhance USC's position within the Big Ten, potentially leading to greater financial rewards. While Cowherd's proposal has practical considerations, it also faces significant opposition. The USC-Notre Dame rivalry is steeped in history and tradition. Ending it would not only disappoint countless fans, but also erase a significant part of college football heritage. Rivalries like this are the lifeblood of the sport, providing memorable moments and fostering deep-rooted school pride. The rivalry game is a marquee event that attracts national attention, boosting both schools' visibility and appeal to recruits. Maintaining such high-profile games is crucial for the continued prominence of both programs. Beyond the field, the USC-Notre Dame rivalry is a cultural phenomenon, uniting and dividing families and communities. Its impact extends far beyond the immediate outcomes of the games, enriching the broader tapestry of college football. Cowherd's suggestion comes at a time when college football is undergoing significant changes. Conference realignments, the expansion of the college football playoff, and shifting media landscapes are all influencing the strategic decisions of athletic programs. In this context, traditional rivalries are being re-examined for their viability and relevance in the new era of college sports. The potential end of the USC-Notre Dame rivalry would mark a significant shift in college football's landscape. While practical considerations might support Cowherd's suggestion, the emotional and historical weight of the rivalry presents a formidable counter-argument. As USC transitions to the Big Ten, it will be crucial to see how both schools navigate their storied pasts and future aspirations. So Tate, 1926, that is 98 years, almost to that 100-year mark. What do you think about potentially ending this rivalry game?
Your last sentence, it was the historical weight of the game. And I know people are kind of like, man, this game's been around forever. And there's no proposal for this to happen. Okay, so I want to make sure we're not saying that this is something that has been planned, but it was just a comment. It was an interesting topic that Colin brought up. And you start talking about the historical weight and history and almost 100 years and how the fans love it and how everything. Guess what? Colin's right. Colin is 100% right. And for everyone that is going to be upset with me saying that, don't care. I remember as a kid, couldn't wait for that Michigan Notre Dame game. I'm a big Michigan Wolverine fan, and I could not wait for that game. That was a tradition. And that game went away. And Michigan survived, and so did Notre Dame. I also remember the good old days when Oklahoma versus Nebraska. It was the two big rivalries for me was Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Jamel Holloway, and all these guys. And it's just like Frazier and all these guys from that rivalry. That was a big rivalry. And then Nebraska went to the Big Ten. And that rivalry was over. And guess what? These schools survived. But it's a different world. If you're following college football, you realize that this world is about this is the world of conference realignment and making what conference is going to get the most players into the college football playoffs and whose conference is the best. And when you're in a conference with now Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, Penn State, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, Michigan State. When you start looking at this and you're going down the line and you're just playing your conference schedule and you're USC and you're rolling and you're trying to make it to the college football playoff, and you look around and this week you just lost to Penn State for your first loss, and then you look at your last 3 games of the year and you're like, I got Oregon next, then I got to go to Notre Dame, and then I got to go to Ohio State, and it's just like, that's not good for your health. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to say you shouldn't run away from competition. I disagree. You should play a schedule that's going to put yourself in the best situation to make the college football playoffs. That's the number one goal. That's where all the money is. Making sure that your team is viable and contending so that you get the television eyes, so the television contract stays strong, and that your team makes it to the college football playoffs. Having an extra game against a team that is, in many years, are just as good, if not better than you are, makes it so you're adding a much larger hurdle down the stretch. If you're USC, or even flip it, Notre Dame's running. They've had a couple of losses, but they know they're gonna make the playoffs. But now they're getting toward the end of the year, but they got to go to USC. And if they lose to USC, they're not going to make the playoffs. It's bad for Notre Dame. Granted, I know Notre Dame isn't in a conference. They're technically, Notre Dame University is in the ACC, but Notre Dame football is an independent. And with the rules, it comes down to where they're ranked. Going down the stretch, a late season loss could be the difference between making it into the playoffs as an at-large bid, because that's the only way they can get in now with this new process, is as an at-large bid. Getting that extra loss at the end of the year could cost Notre Dame massively. Same with USC. Having a lot of times the Big Ten schedule is sometimes backloaded. Just like I think about Michigan this year, finishing the year with I believe it was Penn State, then rolled into Ohio State, and then going into the Big Ten championship to play Iowa, then going into the playoffs. These games with the conference is even tougher now. Now, you may get on your schedule in a given year Oregon, Washington, USC, and Ohio State on there, or Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington if you're USC, and then you still have to hit Notre Dame. It's not in their best interest. I know it was a hypothetical situation, but when you think about what's best for USC and the viability of USC as far as keeping the rankings up and making the college football playoffs, it is a smart decision to say, if looking at this, I don't want to do this game anymore. Just like Notre Dame and Michigan looked at it and said, no, we don't want to do this game anymore. Same as other schools looking at it and just saying, you know what? It's not in our best interest. We're now in the Big Ten. We're Nebraska. We don't need to play Oklahoma. Well, it's just the way it is. You look around and there's with this whole conference realignment, there's a lot of games that's going away. And there's this whole conference realignment isn't over. And there's going to be other rivalry games that are going to go away. It doesn't mean that it's the death of college football. It's just a realignment of college football. There's going to be new rivalries that you're going to get the USC Ohio State game on a more regular basis. You're going to get that Michigan USC game on a regular basis. Oregon, Michigan. These are going to be part of that excitement that's going to have. It's just a reset. There's a new order that's going on in college football, and the old order is going away. And if you've grown up and you're an old time college football guy, it is hard to see these rivalries go. But it's just what's happening in the world of sports.
Well, and that's the thing, is that it's going to happen a lot. That change is constant right now in terms of realignment.
Yes, it is.
And it's hard to see something, especially this that's almost 100 years old. People are going to say, but it's always been this way, right? That's what we always say when change happens. And then in 5, 10, 15 years, it's just going to be like, oh, well, yeah, that was something that happened, but it's not going to be in people's consciousness.
I kid you not. The Nebraska-Oklahoma game, you set your calendar for that one. You could not wait to see. As a kid growing up, I had to see that Ohio State-Michigan game and that Oklahoma-Nebraska game. Those were the two rivalries that were, in my eyes, at the top. Also, the Oklahoma-Texas game as well. But that one was so huge to me and for so many people. But when they went to the Big Ten, no one even thinks about that game anymore.
Sure.
At all.
Yeah, it's crazy how the mindset works, especially when it comes to things that are popular in society. So we are going to go ahead and take our final break of this episode. When we come back, we will be talking about yet another dumb criminal and what he did that made him dumb. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we'll be right back.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows. Available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the last segment, we were talking about the USC Notre Dame rivalry game and a suggestion that maybe it needs to go away. This is not a proposal. It was a suggestion. So Kate was talking about the impact of that and what that could mean. We are moving into our next segment, which is dumb criminals. We do always enjoy talking about dumb criminals. Let me just get this taken care of and get this going here. So, dumb criminals, Tate.
Oh boy.
This one actually comes from my home state, partly why I picked it for this week.
All right. It's okay. I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, very pretty, tasty victuals. M&Ms and trail mix.
What's going on with the pictures, right? Okay, so this is an older story because it's from my home state. It took place in Hamilton, Montana. Montana authorities said a burglar bungled when he broke into a newspaper office, visited his Facebook page, and left a trail to his sister's nearby apartment. Hamilton police officers said Stephen Crane, 19, broke into the newsroom of the Ravalli Republic through a window early Tuesday morning. And this is a while ago, so it wasn't this past Tuesday morning. And used office computers to view pornography and also log into his Facebook and MySpace accounts.
Whoa, wait. MySpace, this is in like 1980?
Yeah, apparently 1976.
Who has MySpace still? That's what threw me right there. Sorry about that. That triggered me right there.
Officers said Crane also sprayed a fire extinguisher around the room and left a trail of pilfered M&Ms and trail mix, which led to the door of his sister's apartment, located across the hallway from the newsroom. Hamilton Police Detective Stephen Murray said Crane admitted to consuming alcoholic beverages before breaking into the newsroom because his sister's door was locked. He told me he always wondered what was inside the newspaper office. Crane was arrested and charged with felony counts of burglary and criminal mischief, in addition to a misdemeanor count of theft. So the longer version of this story is that he had been somewhere at a friend's house drinking. So this could also be a Thirsty Thursday story.
I was thinking that same thing. I'm like, is this a Thirsty Thursday?
It's a Thirsty Thursday, dumb criminals.
Okay.
They dropped him off at his sister's house. So he got to his sister's house. The door was locked. He then broke into the newspaper office thinking maybe he could find something to help him break into his sister's apartment. Logged into MySpace, checked his Facebook, watched some porn, stole, they were gallon-sized bags, so maybe like those giant Costco or Sam's Club bags of trail mix and M&Ms. But then he took those with him and apparently just dropped them like Hansel and Gretel on his way back. So not only did he log into his Facebook account so they knew who he was, they knew they could find him because he left a trail.
No one would have found him if they'd have just found his MySpace. No one would have found him. He's using code. He's using outdated technology. Okay, man, first off, you go to your sister's place and you're like, man, I'm locked out. What do? I don't go kick the door in at my sister's place so I'm in there. Like, no, she's going to be upset with me. Mm-hmm. I'll kick in the door at the newspaper. And my theory is he got the munchies after drinking a little too much or whatever. Got him some M&Ms and some trail mix. Then realized, like, well, I'm not at my sister's place, and so she's not going to get on me about my internet usage, so I might as well pull up some of my favorite live action video. Mm-hmm. You know, live action videos. So I'm gonna let y'all know.
I think we all got your reference. Thanks for
you know, M&M's melt in your mouth, not in your hands kind of situation. We're merely talking about M&M's. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Totally different M&M's. The M&M we talked about last episode. Yeah.
Not Slim Shady.
No.
Okay. No. But you know.
Both aside.
Why log into your social media? You just asking for trouble. That is listen.
Thirsty Thursday. You know, make the best choices when you're drinking.
Why not just go ahead, get a piece of paper, take a sign and say Tate was here, then stick your finger in some ink and give a couple of fingerprints so that you have that there and leave that on the desk as well. Am I wrong when I say that's as foolish as it gets?
Well, yeah. But you know what? I don't think people think like that sometimes. Even sober, sometimes people don't think, oh, if I log into my Facebook MySpace account, they don't think that leaves a digital footprint. You know, I think we're so used to having the internet and social media that we just...
Why can't my man just use his own phone?
Another excellent point.
If you're going on Facebook, you're pulling a caper. First off, you're broke into a place. But
May I interject and say, if he had a phone, why didn't you just call his sister?
Listen. Let's not get all technical here. Let's not go next level, okay?
Yeah,
let's stay in the moment here.
Too logical. Keep going.
And if you got time to kill, you gonna kick back in the chair, popping some M&Ms and eating trail mix. And you're like, did he go to my, like, what? I'm picturing this now.
You want to know the order?
Yeah, yes. I'm thinking he went to his Facebook page and he was looking, and then he had some time. He was eating his trail mix, and he was like, you know what? You know, I'm feeling a little frisky. I'm seeing some of my old friends, old girlfriends on there. I'm gonna go to my favorite adult entertainment site. Logged into www.com.
How do you spell that?
That was double C, double R, double T, double S. And then after he got done watching his favorite programming, afternoon programming, I think what popped in his head was like, wonder if my MySpace account is still around. That's how I'm seeing it going down. I haven't looked at that thing since '92. So I want to go check and see if it's still there. And then I think he was surprised that he would actually go to his MySpace account and it was still there, and he logged in. And he was so excited. Then he was like, I gotta go tell my sister. So then he was about to run out, but the M&Ms and trail mix were so good that he was like, let me grab those. And he had a handful and just had a trail that ran all the way back to his sister's place.
Yeah. Maybe there was a hole in the bag.
You know, I'm trying to give my man the benefit of the doubt.
I have to point out a detail, though, that's going to make it worse.
Oh, hell.
This dude was 19. What is he doing with a MySpace account?
What? You sure it wasn't Daddy's?
He was 19.
That wasn't Pawpaw's MySpace account?
Hey, underage drinking.
You get a pass on that. I get, you know.
Montana, everyone drinks.
What else are you, okay, listen. What else are you going to do in Montana besides underage drink and eat M&Ms? There ain't nothing else to do.
Well, you forgot the other main one that was popular in high school.
What's that?
Underage drinking and having sex. That's pretty much what there was to do on the weekend.
And, look at my man. He had his pregame show going on by watching his motivational videos before having a night out in Montana. Now, that's the way I'm seeing it. Sorry, people in Montana.
I will give him a little credit for something. 19-year-old with MySpace. But what he didn't do was update his Facebook with sitting in the Ravalli Republic office. You know,
you know what?
At least he didn't do that.
Yeah, it could have gotten worse.
It could have, but I'd always wanted to see inside the newspaper. But okay, so then what do you do when you get in there? Well, you spray a fire extinguisher everywhere. You check I don't know. I'm not suggesting that he should go like steal things or break into things, but he didn't even explore. Come on.
Listen, I look at this kid and I say a bright future. I see a guy that has a creative mind. The first thing is to show you how advanced his mind is. The fact is, he knew what MySpace was. That's like being a time traveler. Second thing is, he knew what a newspaper was. MySpace and newspapers don't. You know, who cares what goes on at a newspaper nowadays? The news people, no one uses a newspaper anyway. Newspapers and MySpace fit in the same story together because both of them are a thing of the past. So, and can't lie to you, Facebook is kind of getting there as well. Only us old folks use Facebook.
You know what would make this story better?
Let's call it Granny Book.
Granny. M&Ms were actually Werther's originals.
Oh. That dude's an old school cat because he's using MySpace, he's using Facebook. He probably, I can't even think of an old adult site. I tried to think.
I'm not familiar enough to know. I can't.
Through strictly on my, doing research, trying to be a quality journalist, you know, I have to do research, so I have to know what's out there.
Truly old school would be a VHS.
He had a Betamax cassette that he was playing as he was watching his favorite programs while searching MySpace. That's the way I'm seeing this one go down.
Can I tell you the one thing I'm grateful for, though?
What's that?
I didn't know this guy. There's always, you know, people say, oh, they're from Montana, do you know them? Which on the one hand makes me roll my eyes because, yeah, it's not a huge population. It's about 1 million people in the entire state. 4th largest state, 1 million people. But chances are good. I mean, my sister lives in that area. My aunt used to live in that area.
Don't put all your family's business out on the street now.
I'm just saying, I'm grateful I didn't know this kid and being like, oh, good. Well, there's Jimmy once again.
Listen, I don't know what his name is. I'm willing to hang out with you. He seems like a fun dude. He may not make all the smartest decisions. Everybody has that friend that makes those dumb decisions. But most likely he's a good guy. He didn't harm anything. He ate a little M&Ms.
The fire extinguisher was a bit of harm.
Fired off a fire extinguisher. Checked out www. You know what I'm saying? .com. MySpace. He's hurting nobody. He's just living his best life and making poor decisions. I'd hang with that guy because he's going to get in trouble and I'm going to go home.
All right. Well, Tate, if you're ever in Hamilton, Montana, look this kid up. Thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. Your support means a lot to us, so make sure to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. That really does help. Also, you can follow the podcast on social media. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok for more updates and content. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great. I don't wanna go to